I've coached over 200 people on weight loss, and today I'm going to give you the 5 tips to lose weight permanently and keep it off. This video is for the woman or man who's been on their weight loss journey. They feel like their whole life. They spent their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever it is for you, focused on losing weight. And you've been a yo yo and you're sick of it and you're done with it and you're ready to get to the goal, keep it off forever, and be able to live the rest of your life the way you want to. You are the person who refuses to live their life focused on weight anymore. If that's you, I want you to stick around. If you are the person who wants to lose weight for a wedding or your cruise that you're going on next year, you can stick around. It will work for you, but the tips that I'm going to give you today are more for long-term permanent weight loss. Okay. I'm Nina Vasquez. I'm a certified trauma-informed life coach. I have personally lost over 50 pounds and kept it off. And I'm 45 years old. And in my 20s and 30s, I was a yo-yo dieter. I tried every single diet there was, counting calories, carb cycling, Nutrisystem where you get the meals at home. I tried it all. I've lost 30 pounds in 3 months. I've gained 60 pounds in a year. When I was 36 years old, I woke up. I was at my heaviest weight. I was 200 pounds. And I knew I had to make a change. And I told myself, I was like, whatever I do, if I can't do it forever, I'm not going to do it. And for me, that worked. But I had a long road ahead of me because I was an emotional eater. I constantly was self sabotaging. I was eating low quality food, eating fast food all the time. I was under high stress and had a lot of unhealed trauma. I also didn't know that my mind and my brain played a big part in weight loss. So today I'm going to share with you what I found. And today I'm going to share with you how to lose 45 pounds or more and keep it off for over 5 years. Let's start. Number one, ditch the BMI chart. And if I had my way, I would say F the BMI chart. The BMI chart was made for it was literally created based on European white males. I have contract coached for over 4,000 hours at a weight loss institute. And what I have found is what we do is we look at this BMI chart, and the BMI chart shows us this weight that maybe we were in high school, or some of us have never been there before. And we see it as like way overwhelming. And we're like, well, I'm never going to get there. I am probably about 20 pounds heavier than the BMI chart says I should be. And the BMI chart will set you up for failure. So what I want you to do instead of the BMI chart is to ask yourself, if the BMI chart did not exist, it literally didn't exist, what would I want to weigh? What would feel good to me? Many of my women clients, female clients, will be like, well, I want to weigh what I did in high school. Do you really though? Do you really want to weigh what you did in high school? Some of us have had, children, and we are in our 40s and our bodies have changed. Do you really want to weigh what you did in high school? Or are you trying to strive to prove that you're good enough or worthy of love, thinking if I just get back there, I will be worthy again? I really want you to ask yourself, like, where would I feel really comfortable? Where did I feel comfortable last time? And then whatever number you choose, give yourself a window. Like, for me, I give myself a 5 pound window. I like to be in a 5 pound range. And that's where I feel the best. And if I'm the heavier part or I'm over that 5 pound range, I know that I need to tighten up some things. I know I need to recommit to some lifestyle changes, right? So F the BMI chart. If you go into a doctor's office and they're using it, let them use it. You don't have to adopt that BMI chart mindset. You can say, I feel good here and I don't need to go below that. All right. Number two, you must ditch perfectionism. Here's what perfectionism says. Perfectionism says, and this will make a lot more sense when I get to number 5, but perfectionism says, I don't have an hour to go to the gym, so I'll do nothing. Perfectionism is equal to black or white thinking, all in or all out. I'm either on a diet or off a diet. I'm all in my plan or I'm all off my plan. Instead, what I want you to think of is like, okay, so I might not have an hour, but could I do air squats for 10 minutes in between this call and my next call? Could I go on a walk for a little bit today at lunchtime? Could I lift upper body for 10 minutes before, or while my child is taking a nap? Literally ask yourself, I may not have a full amount of time, but what can I commit to today? And that's just exercise. That was an exercise example. But like goes with food as well. So if you are, say you're out somewhere and you make a choice that really doesn't serve your weight loss, but it serves hunger, it's a little bit indulgent. What the mind will do, and this again, it'll make sense when I get to number five, but your mind, you literally have a part of your mind who wants to convince you that you have to be perfect. And if you're not perfect, then don't do it at all. And so you'll hear thoughts like, well, I already screwed up because I ate that. So I might as well eat this tonight and start tomorrow, right? Perfectionism says start tomorrow, start on Monday, not right now because you have to be perfect, right? So we have to ditch perfectionism. If you have a perfectionism wound from childhood, meaning I had to be perfect to feel love and acceptance and safety, that might be showing up in your weight journey and you have to ditch it because something is better than nothing. Something always gives you results more than nothing gives you results. But your mind will convince you that it's not enough. It's not enough to lose weight. It's not enough. 10-minute walk is not enough. But will a 10-minute walk help you create a habit? Absolutely. When you think about the brain, your brain doesn't care about the duration. If you went to the gym every day for 10 minutes, you would create a habit over time of going to the gym at that certain time, right? And then maybe later on you could add on 10 minutes or you can add on 15 minutes, you can add on 30 minutes. Do what you can do with what you have, right? Perfectionism says I have to go to a gym or I have to do a class. But, the opposite of perfectionism says, well, I could just walk up and down my stairs for 10 minutes. And then another thing perfectionism does is it wants you to perform like you did before. Let me give you an example. I used to be in the military, I was in the army, and I could do a lot of push ups. A lot for me was probably like in the 20s, maybe 30s, if that. Um, and when I first started my weight journey again, at my heaviest weight, I weighed 200 pounds when I started again when I was 36 years old. And I told myself I would do it differently. I was so filled with shame because I thought that I should be able to do more push-ups than I could do right now. And so I felt so much shame that I didn't want to do any push-ups. So I didn't do push-ups for a long time, but then I realized that we all have a starting place. Perfectionism says I should be somewhere else than I am, but I had literally had a child and my body has changed and all those things. And if we can meet ourselves right where we are, meaning get to where you can start. For me, I had to literally start at one push up on my knees, right? If you can meet yourself where you are, you can grow from there. Perfectionism says you should be somewhere else, which creates shame. And if you're an emotional eater, you will eat for shame or you will hide yourself. Also, the perfectionism mindset sounds like this: I should have never let myself go. I remember believing that too, because I was really active at a gym. And then, I allowed work to overtake my whole life, work and family, and I stopped going to the gym. And then perfectionism says, well, you let yourself go and they're going to think you let yourself go. So don't go back to the gym. It doesn't allow for you to be human. We are human, and sometimes we create habits that don't serve us. But here's the good news: we can create habits that don't serve us. That means we can create habits that do serve us. But you really have to drop perfectionism. I always tell my clients, like, you can have a cookie and a salad in the same day. Yes, you totally can. You can have a cookie at lunch because somebody brought them into work, which reminds me, I want you to stick around if you are in perimenopause or you're over 40, because I want to share some things that I have discovered with you that might be really helpful for your journey. Okay. Because I am walking through that period of time right now where our bodies are changing and weight loss is a little bit different during this time. So stay with me to the end and I'll talk to you about that and share some resources and maybe even share some books that have been helping me. Yeah, perfectionism will steal your success. So when you hear thoughts like, I let myself go, or they're going to think I let myself go, tell yourself the truth. You didn't intentionally, consciously let yourself go. You just prioritized other things in front of yourself. Or maybe you literally built a child, from cells. Tell yourself the truth, right? Or maybe you're walking through some difficult circumstances and you allowed yourself to focus on them and not weight loss at that time. Okay. You don't literally physically let yourself go, because I bet you the whole time you haven't been prioritizing your health. You've been actually thinking, I should be, right? I should be doing that. But you've been stressed and focused on something else. So tell yourself the truth. What is more true than I let myself go? That will help you feel a little bit better. When you feel a little bit better, you'll take a different action. Okay. All right. Number 3, this one's a doozy. I'm going to show you this heart. Raise your standard. Raise your standard means raise your standard of self love. Okay. What do I mean by this? Back when I was on the yo yo dieting train, my standards were pretty low. I would eat lots of McDonald's, fast food, Cold Stone. My standards of what I put in my body, I never bought organic food. I wasn't really thinking about quality. And then I had a family member start changing the way he was eating. And one day, he was a bodybuilder at the time. And one day I asked him, like on the phone, like, is this good for me? And he was like, you're asking me, but you need to do the research to find out if it's good for you. Okay. And there's a lot of information outside of you, right? A lot of information. Some dietitian, you might think some dietitian has the answer, or that coach has the answer, or that coach has the answer. But what I want you to do instead is I want you to raise your standard. I want you to raise your standard of self love. I want you to think about, if you have a child, think of when you had that child, and think about like how you thought, oh, what should I feed them? What's good for a human to be fed? What are foods that are good for me, that will serve my body, that I'll feel good in? And then I want you to start like looking at, I don't have anything with a ingredients list around me, but I want you to start looking at ingredients and think about those things that you put in your body. Think about the low quality. Have you ever seen that meme? This is not an attack on McDonald's. I'm not a fan, by the way, but um, you know, fast food places or McDonald's, they literally, the burger, like if you leave it out, it will like stay looking the same for like months on end, right? How does it get that way? And why are you willing to put that in your body, right? What's going to bubble to the surface is your lack of self love. It will bubble to the surface and you'll be able to do that work. Why don't you love yourself enough to expect and put high quality things in your body? Right? Here's another thing. A lot of times we're looking outside of us for the answer. And we're like, oh, I should follow that diet plan. I should do what that person says. But we forget to listen to our body. Our bodies will tell us. So I am a person who doesn't eat fast food at all. Zero fast food. I don't remember the last time on that I did, but on my weight loss journey, I did. I had one meal a week on Thursdays because I was so tired of my meal plan that and my meal prep, that I would go eat at a fast food place. I'd have a burger and fries once a week. And that changed, and I started going to Chick-fil-A, and then that changed. And now I just have raised my standard. I don't put fast food in my body. And recently, I put some things in my body that I haven't been, that I normally don't. Let me give an example. I noticed that gluten, flour, and dairy were treating, they didn't love me back. Have you ever heard that? Like, you love the food, but it doesn't love you back. Well, it wasn't loving me back. And many people are affected by food in different ways. So it might be skin issues, it might be brain fog, it might be depression, it might be weight gain, it might be gut issues. Like, so you have to check in with your own body to see, how is your body affected by that food? Well, for me, when I eat gluten and flour and actually corn, and corn is a hard one because I feel like corn is at my roots. Like I like eating corn tortillas is like one of my favorite thing. But those things, they cause me to have brain fog and deep depression and definitely affect PMS for me. And so I had a weekend where I also recently have been taking a break from dairy. Like literally, I went from heavy cream in my coffee every day last year to no cream in my coffee at all. It was a gut healing issue where it was like, okay, I had this knowing in my body I need to take a break from dairy, and so I did it. Well, I had a weekend around Valentine's Day where we made homemade pizzas with all of the gluten and dairy. And then it was a perfect storm. I walked into the week with heavy brain fog, moodiness, depression. Like it was like this fog came over me. And I was reminded again that when I put low quality food that doesn't serve my body, and I lower my standards, then I'm going to pay for it. So I want you to really think about the food you're putting in your body. Really think about it. This goes for like, even like you buy keto tortillas, look at the ingredients. Many people that are on weight loss journeys, all they're doing is looking at calories. They're like, well, I can have, 5 ginger snap cookies for this many calories. But what does that do to your body? What does the sugar do to your body? How do you react to having sugar? Is that affecting your blood sugar? Right? So, a lot of times we're looking outside of us for the answer, and people say, like, restrict your calories, but is that working for you? And are the ingredients the highest quality ingredients? Because when you put the highest quality ingredients in your body, you'll notice start putting real vegetables and fruit and proteins in your body at the very beginning, especially if you're cleaning up your diet, nutrition wise. I'm not meaning diet like you go on a diet, but if you clean up your nutrition, you're going to probably, like, if you get rid of, extra sugars and processed stuff, you're probably going to have like a detox phase where it's not going to feel very comfortable because you're basically, your body is addicted and your brain is addicted to those dopamine hits. But on the other side of that, when you clean up and you remove all the low quality food from your life, you're going to start feeling amazing. You're going to start feeling energetic. You're going to start feeling like you're on fire. Okay, but you have to think about the quality of your food and what you're putting in your body. What are you accepting as like good enough to put in your body? Have you ever met like a pet owner and they have to get the best quality food for their pet? Do you treat yourself that way? Do you put the best quality food in your body? When we put the best quality food in our body, we raise our vibration. We raise the quality of our life. Trust me on this. Test me. Test it out. Don't believe anything I say. Test it out and try it and see what's going to happen when you raise the quality of your food and your drinks. That's another thing. I have literally stopped drinking soda for, I don't know. Don't ask me when I stopped drinking soda, but it's been years. Over 8 years ago, I just stopped drinking soda. I used to be a big time Pepsi drinker, especially when I was in the army, big time Pepsi drinker and orange juice. And I was basically addicted to sugar. And I just stopped. I don't remember when I stopped, but I just made a choice, and I just drew a bright line around soda. I don't drink soda, and I'm from Texas, so we call everything Coke. But like, I don't drink Coke. I don't drink soda. I don't even drink the Zevia sodas. I think I've had maybe a sip of those around family, but I don't drink soda. I drink water with electrolytes. And so, ask yourself, am I putting the best quality things in my body? And if you're not, ask yourself, where could you start? Like, you don't have to change it overnight, but what could you change? What's one thing you can change this week to go from low quality to a little bit higher quality, right? It could be you drink coffee every day, you could switch to organic coffee, right? It could be you eat fast food 7 days a week and you go to 4 days a week. It doesn't have to be a big change. It just can be like, I am putting effort into raising the quality of the food that I put in my body. All right, number 4, learn to work with your emotions. Learn to feel your emotions and befriend your nervous system. All right. This is important because anytime we're eating when we're not hungry, we're either avoiding an emotion or we're trying to feel an emotion like pleasure. Okay. So if you snack eat at night and it's because you're bored, that is an emotional eat. Many of my clients say they're not emotional eaters. And then we dig a little deeper and we're like, but then why are you eating if you're not hungry? If you're eating when you're not hungry, you're either seeking pleasure or avoiding pain. Okay. So we have to learn how to feel our emotions. And I have created a resource for you. And you can click the link below for that resource. And it's actually guiding you through how to feel your emotions and walk yourself through emotions. If when we were 5 years old, somebody sat you down and they said, hey, you're a human being, and I want to teach you about what it's like to be a human being, and you're going to experience emotions. And I'm going to give you some tools to help you get through emotions. I'm also going to give you some tools to help you regulate your nervous system when you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed so you can get through those big emotions. We would not have used food to cope with our emotions. We would not have used food. We would have been able to feel them and process them. But if you are somebody who uses them, you're solving something else with food instead of hunger, then you might have been doing that for a really long time. And now it's a neural pathway, it's a pattern in your brain. And so we have to teach ourselves how to actually feel our emotions so we don't go turn to food. I was an emotional eater. I was a binge eater, and now I would call myself a recovering emotional eater because sometimes that pattern comes up. I'll feel an emotion, maybe happy, joy, overwhelm, sadness, boredom, and I'll be like, oh, let me go eat something, right? And so it's not that it goes away completely, but once you're learning how to feel your emotions, you can say, oh, this is sadness. I'm okay. I can feel sadness in my body. Oh, I feel stressed and overwhelmed. Let me use one of these tools. And you can, once you download the guide, you'll have several tools to help you get through those emotions. I want you to use those tools to get through urges as well, because when you start to raise your standard, you might have an urge to eat those Dove chocolates. I used to eat Dove chocolates all the time. It was a thing that, like, I probably had like 10 in a day, and my ex-husband would like gift me with chocolates. That's the way he showed love, and I was a binge eater. And so it just wasn't really a great formula for success because I would just eat one after the other. And it was a high stress job back then too. So that made a big difference. I would just like go for chocolate when I felt stressed or go for chocolate when I felt overwhelmed. And so that pattern may come with you as you raise your standard. You're going to need a way to get through those urges. It's going to feel so strong. You're going to want to eat the thing you used to eat. So definitely download that guide. It's the Grounded Woman's Guide to Healing Her Nervous System. And this will help you get through those emotions so you won't need anything outside of you to solve for actually an emotion. That's going to help you walk yourself through emotions and urges to eat when you're not hungry, and also increase your capacity to feel your emotions as well. All right, let's move on to number 5. Number 5 is an amazing one because when I learned this, learning this is the thing that helped me keep my weight off. Before my 40s, I would lose weight and then I would gain it all back the next year. And I couldn't figure out, why couldn't I keep it off? How come I could lose weight and not keep it off? Okay, so you have to understand the human mind and the brain. Once you know this, you'll have leverage over yourself. Okay, so lean into this part. I'm going to teach you a little bit about the brain. You have 2 parts of your brain I want you to know about. You have your prefrontal cortex. That's the part of you who cares about your future. It's part of you who wants to be around when your children are getting married or when your grandchildren are alive. That's the part of you who wants to like get on the airplane and not have to use the extender. That's the part of you who wants to have less joint pain and feel better. That's the part of you who wants to really get this weight off. It's thinking about the future. But 95% of what we think, feel, and do comes from our survival brain, and that we call the primitive brain or the primal brain. That part of the brain has 3 jobs: keep you safe, seek pleasure now in the moment, and conserve energy. And now I go into this when I coach with people, but I want to teach you why it's so good to know this, because your survival brain will talk you into eating the thing, literally eating the thing that gives you the most pleasure right now. This is why some people will like have a lactose intolerance or lactose allergy and they'll still want to eat ice cream right now because their primal brain doesn't care about later on tonight when they're going to be suffering. Okay. So when you know this, you'll know that your primal survival brain is giving you thoughts that give you urges all day long, right? Like, ooh, I want to eat that. Or ooh, that sounds good. I haven't had that in a long time. Or I just need something sweet, especially for those of you who want sweets after dinner. It's just like, oh, I just want something sweet. Or it might sound like this: I worked so hard today. I deserve this. Or I already screwed up, so I might as well eat this and start on Monday. Or if it's exercise, I don't have time. I'm too busy. It's just really important for you to know that self sabotaging behaviors come from this unconscious part of you. And you must be able to manage your mind and become more aware of your thoughts. When you're more aware of your thoughts, you can be in control. You might hear a thought and feel an urge in your body and be able to interrupt it using one of the tools that I've given you in that grounded resource guide. Okay, so managing your mind is so important. And if you want to learn more about managing your mind, I want you to go ahead and watch this video where I teach you step by step how to manage your mind. So, one of the things you can do to leverage your prefrontal cortex, that part of you who cares about your weight loss journey, is you can start making decisions ahead of time for yourself. All you need to do is make decisions ahead of time for yourself for about, I don't know, 12 hours before or 24 hours before. So, like, let's say you're going to decide what you're going to eat tonight, or you're going to a restaurant and you decide what you're going to eat at the restaurant, or you decide what you're going to eat this week, or you strategically place some indulgent meals or indulgent snacks in your week because you know if you're too tight on your nutrition plan, you won't follow it. That might look like, your favorite dark chocolate on Tuesday, or your favorite sweet potato fries on Friday. Like, you actually plan the things that are indulgent in your life ahead of time. So that way you are actually deciding based on the lifestyle and the standard you want to keep for yourself, and not your survival brain. Your survival brain doesn't care about your standard at all. Those are my 5 biggest tips that I've learned that if people do this, they keep the weight off. The people who don't really change their lifestyle habits in this way, they don't keep the weight off. They lose the weight, but they gain it back. Or they lose the weight and they still struggle to keep it off. And this goes for many people that I've coached that are using weight loss medications to help them. They're using it and it helps them get there, but they can't maintain it because they haven't really changed their lifestyle. And of course, there's other things that are involved, right? Like, hydration and sleep and stress relief. And of course, my guide can help you with stress relief as well. But when you literally decide to change your lifestyle and you manage your mind, you feel your emotions, you make decisions ahead of time, you get rid of the BMI chart, meet yourself where you are, remove the perfectionism, that is a lifetime permanent weight loss plan that if you just keep doing it, you will get there. And I want to give you a bonus. This is the magic key. If there was a key to weight loss, this is the magic key. Okay. You're going to be a human being. Your primal brain is going to convince you to eat something off of your plan or something that's not so high standard. It's going to be indulgent. Here's what most people do: they believe the story, I'm screwed up, I'm never going to get there, and because they ate pizza. When you quote unquote mess up or make a decision that doesn't serve your journey, instead of going down a shame spiral and believing the story that your mind wants you to believe, that you messed up and you're never going to get there and you're so undisciplined, I want you to see that as a story and separate story from facts. Facts is pizza chewed up, swallowed, that's it. Once you can do that, you release the story that your mind's trying to convince you of. Because remember, the mind wants you to believe that story because it knows if you believe it, you'll just go and eat something else. Or you'll go off your plan, or you'll micro quit, or you throw in the towel until 2 weeks from now. It wants you to do that. It wants you to do that because that conserves your energy and it's much more comfortable. And also, it gets immediate pleasure. So separate fact from story, release the story, and ask yourself this magic question: What's my very next step if I know I'm still going to get to my goal? And I want you to take that very next step in the next 3 hours. If it's 7 p.m., maybe your next step is I don't eat anything for the rest of the night, or I drink my water I need to get in. But where we get in trouble is we'll be like, okay, I'll start tomorrow at lunchtime, or I'll start tomorrow at breakfast, and it's like lunchtime today. In the next 3 hours, I want you to make a decision that takes you right back in the direction you want to go for the lifestyle and the standard you want to live for your life. Okay, I know I promised you some perimenopause talk. So if you're walking into perimenopause, meaning you're over 35 years old, you're walking into your 40s, I want to share with you some resources and some advocates during this time to learn from. The first one I want to share with you is Dr. Mary Claire Haber. I have her book right here. It's called The New Menopause. Everything that's in her book, she shares online for free. So check out her resources. She's on TikTok and Instagram and all the places, YouTube as well. She talks to you about how to support your body through perimenopause and menopause. We need to advocate and share with each other what we find out. You are not going crazy. Your body is changing. When I hit 41 years old, I realized my high intensity interval training and weight training that I was doing 6 days a week at 5 a.m. in the morning, I hit a wall. I hit a wall so fast. And I started holding on to weight around my midsection, and I was working out pretty tough. And I knew I had to change something. So, you really want to pay attention to your body. Your body is telling you things, but you want to advocate and learn from people, because what's happening nowadays is we're going to the doctor and they're telling you you're not in perimenopause, and they're telling you that you should just get on an SSRI. I'm not telling you not to get on an SSRI. What I am telling you is to start learning about your body and start advocating for yourself, because when you know what's happening, then you can make a solid, sound decision that works for you, that you feel good about. And then another book that I really like is We've Got to Start Learning About Our Cycles. I was 40 years old when I finally learned about my different cycles in my hormones as a woman. As a woman, excuse me. Yeah, so Elisa Viti's In the Flow is a really good resource to learn about your cycle and how to eat for it, work for it, like really how to not biohack, but really like work with your woman cycle. And then the other one I really like is Dr. Mindy Peltz, Fast Like a Girl. If you're working with fasting, a lot of us women, we were using fasting or intermittent fasting, and then we found out it wasn't working for us. And the reason why was because we were doing it in our luteal phase. And she highly recommends not fasting in your luteal phase. Those of us who use low carb, I also really thrive. My body thrives on low carb during certain times, but I was using it the whole month, and that was hurting my progesterone levels. That week in your luteal phase, when you're like craving chocolate, it's because you actually need some carbohydrates during that time. So her book, her resources online are really good. And if you don't even fast, you can learn a lot. You choose not to use fasting on your weight loss journey, which I don't always fast, but if you choose not to, you can still learn a lot about the 28-day cycle and what to expect. And she also has one for specifically for menopause. So if you're like already in menopause, this one will help you. Both of them are super helpful. And then the last person I'll share with you that I really, really love is Chalene Johnson. Chalene Johnson's in her 50s. She walked through perimenopause, and I think she's walking into menopause. And she has a podcast. I think it's called The Chalene Show, and she's an advocate. So she brings on the experts, and more women are starting to talk about this. Check out these women and start advocating and learning about your body, and advocating and learning about your hormones, because we are not going crazy. We are walking through a time where our brain is affected by the levels of estrogen in our body. And the estrogen in perimenopause is literally going up and down, up and down. That's why they can never rely on those blood test results for estrogen. And these women, like, they're at the forefront of of advocating for, like, it's like they're like they turned around and they walk through it and they turn around and they start helping other women. And that's what I'm about. And that's why I'm sharing it with you here. All right. Thank you for being here with me today. I really hope you found this helpful. I will see you in the next video.